We continue with Out of the Past, film noir, Robert Mitchum, Jane Greer, one of the best. Nice gatefold. Pandora and the Flying Dutchman. This is a Kino video release you'll recognize from my Scorsese video, as it is mastered from an archive Technicolor print courtesy of Martin Scorsese. The Great Paper Moon from Peter Bogdanovich. This is a Paramount special edition series that has the director's signature on the side. I recently got the Criterion 4K, but this is a nice edition of it to keep. Perfect World, underrated film from Clint Eastwood, and a great performance from Costner, sort of against type. Now, admittedly, I'm way behind on my Bergman. This is Persona, one of his most famous, so when I do finally catch up, I will probably start with this one. Another Grant Hepburn classic, The Philadelphia Story, this time joined by Jimmy Stewart. Beautiful MGM edition with great cover art. Now we get into one of my favorite movies of all time. This is The Player. This is the Pan and Scan release, 1991. I tell the story a lot because it really illustrates how film going has changed. I saw this movie 4 times in cinemas in the span of a year. That's how long it played, from art house to wide release and then back. Fitting, since it is a movie about Hollywood. Probably the best ever made about making movies. I own it in many different formats. This is the widescreen AC3. This is the French PAL release, which I cannot play. Is this one gold? Yes, this one is gold as well, as a lot of the European PAL releases were. It's interesting who they chose to pull from the cameos and put on the cover. Now, for those of you not old enough to remember, in 1991, pre-internet, we just didn't know as much about movie stars and celebrity as we do now. And cameos were pretty rare. So the fact that Altman pulled all these people together playing themselves was quite remarkable. And the ending is definitely boosted by the fact that it was such a surprise and no one really expected that ending. Pleasantville, another great looking transfer. Black and white with some color. Most black and white just looks terrific on Laserdisc. The contrast, it just works. This is AC3, has an audio commentary. One of the best ghost stories, Poltergeist. This is the odd MGM AC3 label, kind of tacked on there. Another fantastic cover, Point Blank, Lee Marvin, with the San Francisco skyline. A lot of the action set on Alcatraz. This one I have not seen, but great cover again from MGM. Pork Chop Hill. Arnold, Predator. A lot of people in the 80s had to sort of align themselves with an action star. Arnold was my guy. I saw all his movies in that period, that 10-year period, in theaters. This is, of course, one of the best. The widescreen version of Predator. Directed by John McTiernan of Die Hard fame. Pretty Woman. I like this movie. It's not one of my favorites, but the widescreen edition is hard to come by. This is the director's cut. So I picked it up. Gary Marshall. Another MGM late release, The Pride and the Passion. The older Cary Grant, Sinatra, Sophia Loren. This is another in the Alexander Korda series from Pioneer. Private Life of Henry VIII. Directed by Korda. Just a wonderful take on Sherlock Holmes from Billy Wilder, The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes. This is the widescreen collector's edition. This movie was sort of butchered upon release, but the Laserdisc does a good job of incorporating the cut footage and show you what might have been. Still a good movie. Prizzi's Honor from John Huston, starring his daughter, Angelica. One of the first celebrities I saw on one of my early trips to LA, having dinner. Howard Stern, Private Parts. I'm an unabashed Howard Stern fanatic, have been most of my life. Got to see a preview screening of this with some of the folks who worked on the show. In another life, I was also involved in some of the Howard Stern TV productions. So pleased to have this, of course. Really funny movie, and one of the better biopics, especially when you consider Howard's playing himself, and the fact that they made a cohesive film out of this book is pretty amazing. Christian Slater, Pump Up the Volume. Another great one. This is the pan and scan edition, but needed to have it. Really underrated, but if you know, you know. The Quick and the Dead. Here's Gene Hackman again. I only saw this for the first time recently, actually, and I really enjoyed it. This is Sam Raimi with a really early performance by Leonardo DiCaprio. Just a lot of fun. Russell Crowe, and of course Sharon Stone. Ragtime, a movie I've not seen. This is the remastered edition from Paramount and Pioneer. This is one that has inched up in value for some reason over the years, but this is the Great Movie Stunts series, the making of Raiders. I think there's a couple of other editions of this series out there. And, I remind my kids of this all the time when we watch movies from this era, that there is no CGI involved, and these are practical, real stunts with real people. And I hope they appreciate the effort that goes into making these movies. Rain Man, AC3 edition. I've always maintained that it was Cruise that should have won the Oscar. I just think his performance carries the movie and is so much harder and nuanced than what Hoffman had to do. It was sort of one note once he locked in on what the character was going to be. I think it was pretty easy for an actor of his stature, so I would have loved to have seen Cruise win the Oscar instead. But really great movie from Barry Levinson. Raintree County, which I have not seen, but I'm told does not exist on DVD or Blu-ray. So this is the general release version, Laserdisc only release. So I needed to have it. The Rapture, starring former Mrs. Tom Cruise, a film from Michael Tolkien, who was a writer on The Player. This is the collector's edition, kind of an end-of-the-world religious thriller, really fun. The Ratings Game. This is one of the first Laserdiscs I bought because it's just this movie I remember fondly as a kid, and I wanted to make sure it was as I remembered it, and it really is a lot of fun. I think it was made for Showtime, made for cable at the time, and there weren't a lot of great made-for-cable movies. It was kind of the straight-to-video of its day, but this was a lot of fun. It involves a low-rent sort of mafia guy who buys a TV station, and in order to make sure his shows have the highest ratings, he kidnaps the Nielsen families and sends them on a cruise while he populates the network with his own shows and actors. It's a lot of fun. Good companion to UHF. More Arnold, Red Heat, widescreen edition. Don't be fooled by the pan and scan, which just says Schwarzenegger on the top. Saw this in theaters as well. This is a Walter Hill film. This is a late release, again from the era when Vince Vaughn was an indie darling. Return to Paradise. AC3, late. This is 98, I believe. Yep. Haven't seen this, but also fairly late AC3, Richard III, with Robert Downey Jr., Ian McKellen, great cast. Kind of a World War II spin on Shakespeare. River's Edge. Out around the time of Twin Peaks, directed by Tim Hunter, who had done some of the better Twin Peaks episodes. Clearly capitalizing on some of the Twin Peaks nostalgia there. Great cast. There's Crispin Glover, Dennis Hopper. This is Pan and Scan. The Road Warrior. This is the widescreen version. Now I forget which edition this is because there's so many. Is this the original Australian dialogue? I don't remember. I think it is. Otherwise, I don't think I'd have it. But I never loved these movies. You know, I enjoy this one. But the reboot, Fury Road, is just the masterpiece. So if it led to that, that's great. The Rocketeer. Just a lot of fun. This is the widescreen edition from Disney. Timothy Dalton and his great post-Bond performance. Jennifer Connelly. This is a lot of fun. This is movie with a capital M. Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. In high school, when you read the book, the play, they show you this movie now, which is interesting. So many versions of it. But this is the one my son's teacher showed them. I'm a sucker for any anachronistic storytelling, putting music in from the modern era. Love this take on Cyrano with Steve Martin, the widescreen edition of Roxanne. Some more Arnold, The Running Man. This one came from Miracle Video 2 in Lawrence, Kansas. It's always great seeing original stickers on discs that might have been rentals. Directed by Starsky himself, Paul Michael Glaser. That might be out of order alphabetically, but here's Raw Deal. You'll see the Japanese version later, which has a different translation. This is a really cool cover. These Arnold movies were just a lot of fun. This one I remember fondly for the Rolling Stones sequence when he's driving the convertible. I'm going to put that in the right place. Raising Arizona, Coen Brothers, the widescreen version. Just a perfect movie. This is probably the trashiest I get in my collection, but I watched this a lot on cable as a kid. I was, as most teenagers in the 70s and 80s, I was a Kiss fan, so this features a fun performance from Gene Simmons. Written and directed by the novelist Michael Crichton. Cool sci-fi. This would essentially just be a Black Mirror episode now, but back then, it was a feature film. Runaway Train, which I don't believe I've actually seen, but classic action film from, is this Canon? I think it's from the same folks from Canon, but it's a Golan Globus film, not quite Canon material. One of the best of the genre, the buddy film. Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal, Running Scared, from Peter Hyams. Still my favorite Wes Anderson film, right before he became a little too Wes Anderson, but this is just amazing. The music alone is incredible. This is an AC3 late release. Just one of those films that just sort of blow you away. The minute you see it, you know you're ushering in a new voice. This is a movie I did not like the first time I saw it, so I'm curious to try it again. Todd Hayden's Safe. Probably a much different experience now in a post-pandemic world. Satan Bug. I have not seen this, but it is a late release MGM. The really cool cover. Sci-fi film from the 60s, I believe. The one and only Say Anything. This is just a pan and scan release, but I love this movie so much that I had to hold on to the Laserdisc. Written and directed by Cameron Crowe, who had such a great run in the first half of his career. This is infinitely quotable and just the perfect movie. Scorpio, featuring the late Alain Delon. Not quite sure ever how to pronounce that, but with Burt Lancaster, an American film that Delon was in. I have not seen, but that's my sign, so I'll check it out. From the Scorsese as producer portion, Search and Destroy. Secrets and Lies, I've always wanted to see. I still have not, but I really want to. This is from Mike Leigh, the great realist British filmmaker. I've seen some of his films, but not that one, and I've heard it's one of his best. Ben Stiller's version is one of my favorites. This is the original Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which I'm going to assume is quite different. I had read the novel, or it's a novella, I think, kind of short, but I'm curious to see how this version compares. Some more late MGM I need to see. Separate Tables. Burt Lancaster, Deborah Kerr. Cool cover. Great political thriller, 7 Days in May. This is the widescreen edition. I watched this for the first time on Laserdisc. Looks great. From John Frankenheimer. Made a lot of films with Lancaster. Similar to The Rapture, another cool religious thriller that I loved watching when I was younger, The Seventh Sign with Demi Moore. Shallow Grave. Really cool cover. Great thriller from Danny Boyle. Some more Cassavetes. This is Shadows. Improvised, directed by John Cassavetes. Sort of the original mumblecore, the Cassavetes films. He had his stable of actors and kind of went out there and just shot stuff, which is really incredible. Shaft from MGM, one of the great blaxploitation films from Gordon Parks. This is a movie I remember seeing in theaters and liking, but I can't tell you much about it. She's So Lovely, but I do remember enjoying it. This is, oddly enough, from Nick Cassavetes. This is a fun movie, The Shop Around the Corner. Obviously, a big influence on You've Got Mail, which took its cues from this, from Ernst Lubitsch. Silkwood. This was a big deal when I was younger. This is the widescreen version. Someone recently, in fact, in a conversation, used the term Silkwood shower. It's kind of this memorable moment in the movie. It's written by Nora Ephron and directed by Mike Nichols, of course. Another TV staple, Silver Streak, the great Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. One of the best duos on screen. From Long Island, New York, the incredible Hal Hartley. This is part of his Long Island trilogy, along with Unbelievable Truth and Trust, which will come later in the alphabet. Saw this one recently, an anniversary print, and it still really holds up. It's really hard to describe Hal Hartley to people who haven't seen his films, but sure, quirky is a word you can use. True visionary, independent, kind of a little more accessible Jim Jarmusch. Really interesting characters that you don't really see in other films of that time. Highly recommend anything by Hartley in the early years. The AC3 remaster of one of the greatest musicals ever made. I showed this to my kids. Holds up really well, and it's a great history lesson on cinema as it transitioned from silent to talkies. For my money, Will Smith's best performance. Great movie, 6 Degrees of Separation. He plays a con man duping a rich couple in Manhattan. Hanks and Ryan. For a while there, they were Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn. Sleepless in Seattle. From Nora Ephron. Their late release, Sliding Doors, Gwyneth Paltrow. Cool double covers. 1998. This is a late release MGM, a movie I have not seen. I hadn't even heard of, A Small Circle of Friends. Music composed by Jim Steinman of Meatloaf fame. Karen Allen is in this. I'm going to call this a Christmas movie because it features a fantastic ending set at Christmas time. This is Smoke. Written by Paul Auster, great novelist, directed by Wayne Wang. Tarkovsky. I have yet to watch this. I'm way behind on Tarkovsky as well. But Solaris, you may know from the remake. I am really curious about this. When I have 166 minutes one day, I will watch it. 2 versions of Spaceballs. This is a must-own because it's Spaceballs and also because it says the Laserdisc. Now, if you've seen the movie, you understand the joke. I can't believe that they never followed through. After Laserdisc, the DVD does not say the DVD. So they kind of stopped with the video tape and then the Laserdisc. The remastered AC3 widescreen version, the new special edition Laserdisc. They even got that right. Speed, of course, in everyone's collection. This is the AC3 version. This is the DTS version. One of the best action films. Spetters. This is early Paul Verhoeven. It's in black and white. I've not seen it. From the great year of 1939, John Ford's hugely influential Western Stagecoach with John Wayne. Love this. It's one of these classics that you see late in life and you'd heard so much about, and it exceeds expectations. Stage Door Canteen. This was made as a fundraiser for the war effort in 1942, I believe. So it's full of stars of the time, hit songs of the time, and big bands. There's a story around it somewhat, but it's really a way to show off talent and raise awareness and some money for the war effort at the time. Stargate. Pretty common AC3 version. I saw this in theaters. I liked it. I don't remember much, so I'd like to show the kids at some point. It's a Roland Emmerich film. One of the 4 versions of A Star is Born. This is the Janet Gaynor, Frederick Mark Technicolor remaster from Kino, 1937. I'm frankly a huge fan of the Bradley Cooper version, but I think I have all the others in one format or another. And now we come to the reason most people even still think about Laserdiscs, or collect them, or come back to them, or know about them. It's Star Wars. This is the original, unaltered version that you cannot really find anymore. This is the US Technodisc pressing, which is the best version. Some will argue the Japanese collector's edition is better. Possibly that has hard-coded Japanese subtitles, so if you don't want that, you get this version of Star Wars. Now, I remember joining the Columbia House Laserdisc Club, and what everyone did at the time was they got these 3 for free. These retailed, I think, for $69.99 each at the time, or $59.99. And eventually Columbia caught on and disqualified these as the titles you could pick for a penny, or free at the time when you joined. But these are the versions I decided to hang on to. I do also have the big box set. But the Faces versions I got rid of. And really, this is really just for pure nostalgia. And I think I have shown my son this version. But it's a must-own. And finally, in this row, Starship Troopers. This can be a rotter. This version is great. From Paul Verhoeven. Just a lot of fun. I did not see this when it came out in theaters, so I came to it later in life, and I did enjoy it and certainly got the political subtext of it, but it's also just a great fun 90s action film. That gets us through most of the S's. I'll see you soon for the rest.